Hello and welcome to Chuck's Diecast Car and Model Reviews. Today we are taking a look at this pretty cool car. This is the Mercedes CLK DTM car in 1/18 scale as made by Maisto. Now for those of you who don't know about DTM, DTM is a German race series. DTM stands for Deutsche Tourenwagen Masters. And it is a race series that's been going on for quite some time, actually. At least 20 years. It used to be called DTM, standing for like Deutsche Tourenwagen Meisterschaft or something like that. But that went under, and then they brought it back as Deutsche Tourenwagen Masters. And this is probably about as close to NASCAR as you'll get in Europe. These are all modified, street cars. This is, of course, a Mercedes CLK from the early 2000s. And as you can see here, this one is a replica of the car driven by Jean Alesi. Now, Jean Alesi was kind of one of my favorite Formula One drivers back in the day. He had a long career in the Formula One, and he raced for probably half a dozen teams. I think he raced for, Tyrrell, Jordan, Ferrari, Benetton, like Renault, whatever, he raced forever. And he was one of these guys who was very, very passionate, but unlucky in his racing history because he was always on the wrong team at the wrong time. He was always a good driver, but just not in a fast enough car. Well, anyway, back to DTM here. Yeah, like I said, it's as close to NASCAR as you can get, but that is because the cars, have a greater tendency to bump into each other and force each other off the track and stuff than you would see in say Formula One. They drive hard, and it is a lot of fun to watch these races. I've watched a few of these races over the years. All the cars are, production based. Audi, Mercedes, BMW, and Opel have all raced in the DTM. And back before it was the current iteration of DTM, even Alfa Romeo used to race there, and they even won a championship. But this car here, as I said, is based on a Mercedes CLK. It has a 4-liter V8 in it. Has about 500 horsepower. I'm sure this thing is way, way lighter than a stock CLK, and I'm sure 470 horsepower is plenty quick enough also. So let's go ahead and take a look at this car here. I mean, first of all, just taking a look at it, in a cursory look, you can see that this is a pretty serious race car. It's got the big wing on the back, fender flares front and rear, ventilated fenders also. Of course, you got the big air dam in the front, and inside you can see the race seat as well as the roll cage in there too. And of course, as you can see on the side here, this car was made or tuned by the performance arm of Mercedes AMG. So here we go. Here's our look at the model. Now, nice this is a nice model. It's kind of cool in that the detailing on the decals is all really neat. You can see how they even included the shiny and matte finish here on the side of the car. Of course, the AMG badging. I think it's kind of funny that it has an ad here for Becker. Becker's a stereo company. I don't think you'd be listening to your stereo while you'd be driving this car, and I'm sure you would not be able to hear it anyway. You can see here at the back the very cool AMG wheels with the calipers and rotors behind. Doesn't look like the calipers turn with the wheels, but it's kind of hard to tell. They're very far inset. Let's see if we can see on the front here. Nope, they don't turn with the wheels. You can see here that it has looks like a side exhaust here, which is pretty cool. And I'm sure that would be for the purposes of providing more room underneath for aerodynamics. Looking at the front here, you can see a nice Mercedes grille, and the headlights don't look too bad. They do have the little pegs in the center, typical of a model that came out around this time, which is, like 20 years ago. I like the grille here, even though it's just textured plastic, and they did some nice detailing here for the air dam, as well as the well, it's easier to see it this way, but the dive planes on the front here as well, and you can see the tow hook at the front there too. Underneath the hood, I guess you can't really call it a hood because it's actually an entire removable engine cover. You can see that V8. And one thing you may want to notice is just how far back they have it mounted in the engine bay to give it as close to, as close to the center of gravity as possible and improve its handling. And you can see, of course, the big air box made of carbon fiber. As you can see the carbon fiber texture there. And also you can see here that it has a dual wishbone front suspension, which I don't think the stock Mercedes would have. And they do have a nice representation of the shocks in there too, so pretty good for a fairly inexpensive model. And so I'm pretty happy with that. Again, there's a little issue here with the headlights, but other than that, no big problems in the front. Looking at the back here, again, you can see the AMG badging, the Blaupunkt license plate. Again, you're not going to hear your Blaupunkt stereo in this car either. The trunk does not open, which is unsurprising considering this rear wing, which is carbon fiber textured and doesn't look too bad, except for the lower plane, which has a I guess you'd call that a mold seam in there. But other than that, it looks pretty good. And when we take a look at the interior, let me open her up. And John Alesi isn't in there. Where is he? But you do see all the inner workings here. You can see the huge carbon fiber steering column. You can see it definitely does not have a stock steering wheel in there. Everything is probably controlled off that steering wheel. And there is a pretty minimal dash in there too, which is of course what you would expect to see in a race car. And of course you get a better look at the roll cage inside there too. Detailing on the door, you can see carbon fiber texture in there. And if you hadn't felt a race car with carbon fiber doors, it's pretty wild. I was at the Porsche dealership here recently prior to the Pikes Peak hill climb, and there was a 911, what was it, a GT2 or something like that, which was going to be racing up the hill, and I asked the guy, hey, can I see what this door feels like? And yeah, he's like, no problem. And I swear that door weighed 5 pounds. So it's pretty amazing. Anyway, taking a look here on the other side, it's kind of hard to see in here because everything is just so black. But you can see the vertically mounted shift lever there, which is really the only other control that the driver would be operating, other than the steering wheel and the 2 pedals. And of course that's a motorcycle type shift. You know, you push forward to upshift and back to downshift, or vice versa. I'm not sure which. But again, a very, very neat little model here. Very well detailed. Again, you can see on the floor of the passenger area all, you know, switches and electronics and all that sort of stuff too. So Maisto did a pretty nice job on this model, and even though I'm no expert on DTM, it is still a pretty neat car to have in my collection. So that is it for today. I hope you enjoyed this. And if so, please go ahead and like and subscribe. Have a great day.